Hello YouTube, hello knife community, and greetings to everybody else. Welcome to the Home Slice. Today I am going to tell you a story. Why? Because in thinking about how to sort of review my sharpening gear and share with you what gear I've been using, I realized that I've really accumulated my gear less in this journey to chase perfection and more just because of different sharpeners that have inspired me. And so I want to share a quick story. At the end of the video, I'll give you a quick list of pros and cons that I perceive for each one of my pieces of sharpening gear to hopefully help guide you in your decisions and purchases so that you can dial in your gear to where it's really a satisfying sharpening setup for you. Let's get started. Once upon a time in Washington State, my wife, because she's awesome, scheduled for us to go down to Hillsboro, Oregon, which is the home of Carter Cutlery, where Murray Carter hand forges in his Japanese bladesmithing style. So we headed down to Hillsboro, and I watched Murray Carter take this little stack of steel and alloys and forge it into this beautiful Damascus. It took him like 40 minutes. And my mind, my imagination was just alive with oh my gosh, bladesmithing is so cool. And just intrigued about knives and everything about steel. And Murray is a real positive and encouraging guy. He loves to equip others. I'd recommend that you check him out, to be honest, because it will just bless you if you have an interest in knives. So I began to look up his material on YouTube, and he recommended getting some Japanese sharpening stones to start sharpening by hand. I thought that sounded awesome, and so I got right on his website at the time and bought a set of King sharpening stones. Now, this isn't the actual stone I got two separate ones. Since then, with traveling, I've replaced my 1000 grit silica Japanese whetstone and 6000 grit Japanese whetstones with one combined stone just because it's easier for travel. I actually broke the corner of it off when I put it in my check bag at the airport. They're not very kind to bags sometimes, are they? But anyway, I used this and loved it, used it exclusively for quite some time, and got fairly good results with it. However, a few years later, my wife Danny and I embarked on this journey. We lived in Thailand for a year, and then we traveled the world for a little while. And a big, heavy, natural stone was not super practical to throw in my bag to make, 12 different flights and, ride on the train, the bus, all of that stuff. So at that time, I began to get interested in diamond stones because of their versatility and because of how lightweight and small they can be. And at that time, I bought an Easy Lap, hopefully you can see that brand, diamond plate. My first plate that I got was 600 grit on one side and 1200 on the other because I got it as an all-purpose backpacking, hand sharpening setup. And for that purpose, it worked really, really well. I've since replaced that with this one, which has a 250 grit on one side and a 600 grit on the other side because the 1200 was a bit redundant, being that I've already got a super smooth 1000 grit stone. And with both of these stones, it was sort of taking a long time to reprofile edges, and the 250 grit really helps you to do a quick reprofiling. As I progressed in getting a little bit more skilled at sharpening, a friend of mine named Cody, who has a wicked edge, would show me these edges he was getting, these mirror polished edges down to like 1/4 of a micron, and they're just beautiful. And I got the bug, I was like, I'd really like to be able to finally polish my edges. So as we were traveling, I tried out a few different setups for that. The first thing I tried was a leather strap, and I got some sort of cheap 1 micron diamond paste on Amazon. I wasn't super pleased with the results I got on this. I think it's because when you have a leather strap you're supposed to be holding at tension and you press a knife into it, there can be quite a large change of angle out of that ultimate edge. Even if you're very careful, it can be 2 degrees, 3 degrees, 5 degrees. And I kept finding that the leather, probably my skill level with it wasn't quite high enough, to be honest, to use like a tension-only leather strap. But I kept finding it would round my edges a bit, and it would actually sometimes cause more edge damage than anything. So I was on the go at the time and researching a way that I could get something to use as a strap, which would be quick and easy and perform better than that. And what I ended up doing in the end is I got some really stiff double-ply cardboard and put a variety of strapping compounds, sometimes 1 micron diamond paste, sometimes a simple block of silica metal buffing compound that you get at the hardware store. I just rub it into the top, whichever polish, whichever micron rating of abrasives you get in there, rub it onto the top, and then you have a flat and very, very gentle stropping mechanism. Now that said, you can even, sometimes after I do that, to get a final polish, if you have a particularly rough or stiff piece of cardboard, you can go over it not loaded with anything and do some really gentle edge alignment, or at times I even will use newspaper to accomplish that final apex alignment and just feel that it's completely been straightened. There's no micro burr or flaking or anything like that. So that's my main sharpening gear right now. I have a few other little odds and ends, but this is all of the stuff that I used in my instructional video. This is everything that I used to sharpen the knives, which I sent to Pete. For Pete, I spent a lot of time trying to dial in the amount of stropping on the polished side versus the coarse side, but I used all of this equipment and I used only the methods which I've shared here on YouTube. To go through a quick rapid-fire pros and cons of each sharpening tool, I would say with Japanese waterstones and this king stone in particular, there are some really significant advantages. It's gentle, it's smooth, you can get your strokes so smooth, it's satisfying, and it's really easy to remove a final burr with this stone and not flip that burr over to the other side to have to try to continually strip it off. I would say some of the cons are that for maximum performance with this particular stone, it's good if you chuck it in some water and soak it for 24 hours, and that's a little bit inconvenient, I would say. It is a little bit slow in removing edge material, so it's not ideal for reprofiling edges. I did it like my first 6 months of sharpening, but it was intense. It was a lot of time. And I would say the last thing that is a slight disadvantage of this is that when you get a knife with a lot of vanadium, that has a lot of vanadium carbide, I would say it sort of struggles to shape and cut vanadium carbides. So some of your like S30V, S90V, S110V, those ones that are known for having those big chunky groupings of vanadium carbide, this stone will struggle to really effectively sharpen that carbide a little bit. It'll take a lot of time, in my experience. The Easy Lap diamond stone. So some pros, it's really travel friendly, it's easy to throw in a bag, it's not too heavy, and it's a very large sharpening surface, which is really nice. It's aggressive, it's quick, it will sharpen any steel and any carbide, any alloy composition. You're not going to run into serious problems when you're using diamond. Some of the cons of this stone, I would say it is a little bit hard if you got one of these that's really fine and it's your last step. It's a bit difficult to get it to stop curling burr over to the opposite side, so you'll go really gentle and you'll find it's still curled that edge over and your edge is still not aligned. When you first get an Easy Lap stone, the particles in the surface aren't at a really super nice level of evenness, and you actually have to wear the stone in a couple times before you're getting a consistent and nice secondary edge bevel. Don't buy one of these and then, you know, put your nicest knife to it the first sharpening, because it'll chew up your edge a little bit. So you want to sharpen a couple beaters and just take the jagged tops off of those diamond bits before you move on to your nicer knives. I say that from experience. First knife that I sharpened on this was a Benchmade 940, and it had a very ugly secondary bevel. Cardboard, it's cheap, it's easy to find, and it works. Those are kind of the main pros of cardboard. Yeah. Cons of cardboard, it sometimes has a little bit more give than what would be helpful, so you have to keep your touch really light. And if you're a person who struggles with not pressing too firmly, cardboard might not be the method for you. Now, just to be clear, I did not create this video because I have some illusion that I'm the world's best sharpener, or that I have the world's best gear. In fact, earlier this year I was exposed to some videos from Michael Christie, and as I was watching him whittle hair, I was thinking to myself, I don't think that I've ever tested that or tried that, and it's sort of my informal goal for 2021, and I'll document it as I get new sharpening gear here on the YouTube channel. But my quest, my epic journey for 2021 is to join the hair whittling club. If you guys have tips of how I might be able to get there, or your favorite like diamond whetstones or ceramic materials or stropping pastes, please put those in the comments, because this week, next week, I'm looking into purchasing some more sharpening gear so I can sort of document my journey to achieving that. It's my sincere hope that that information is helpful to you guys, and that it contributes to your knowledge and helps you to dial in the perfect sharpening system for you, for your lifestyle. I think that's all I've got to say for the moment, so for now, we'll just say peace out from the Home Slice. Bye, guys.
And in this future, I see you and I. I see you and I.